All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing on Miss Lindsay Adamson. Lindsay Adamson is an international speaker, success coach, writer, and consultant. She is a leading expert in the field of transformational mindset work. She ignites companies, teams, and individuals to become more motivated, more productive, and more conscious about how their behavior affects their results. She is fueled by her passion to make a huge positive impact on the world. And she is so excited to be here on the show today, connecting with all of you. Lindsay, are you ready to rock this? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show. It has been too long. Too long. We've missed you, Lindsay.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this today. I always love being on your show. You are absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to share with everyone and connect with everyone today.
Awesome.
So this is going to be amazing.
Awesome. So we are going to dive right in to the theme of the day, which is awaken your GPS. So, Lindsay, how do you awaken your GPS, your greatest possible self, and how do you relate to the awakening process? Let's dive in. Let's go deep.
Oh my goodness. I absolutely love that question. And it totally fits in perfectly with what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
I have been on this entrepreneurial journey for a long time. And what I've realized is that the way to awaken your greatest possible self is to really spend time taking amazing care of yourself. And so I actually on my Facebook the other day wrote about what are your morning rituals? And I had over 100 people comment about all these amazing things that they do in the morning. And for me, the way that I awaken myself is by doing a lot of self-care practices, walks in nature, and really just enjoying the surroundings, extreme gratitude practices, self-love and self-love journaling and affirmations. My favorite, Epsom salt baths, and a lot of visualizing and attracting that greatest possible self and working hard to become her. And I find that those things very much so have an extremely positive effect on every area of your life, your business included. And so that is definitely how I awaken my greatest self, really by controlling my daily actions to be ones that attribute to that.
I love it. So I hear like a system, a process of self-care and self-love. You nurture yourself so that you can show up for others and make the biggest difference possible. So it's the awakening is you're planting seeds. The awakening is you're tending the garden of your life, of your growth. And if you were a plant, you would be blossoming, and your flowers would be blooming because you're taking care of yourself. And that is like the awakening, going from seedling to a fully blossomed plant.
I love that you said that, because I literally was having that exact conversation with one of my clients on the phone the other day with the same analogy. But yeah, we all have it in us from the time that we were born. We were born with that purpose. We were born with that passion. We were born with that magic. And as we get older and we get exposed to pain and conditioning from the world, we forget who we were born to be. And so when you say awakening to your greatest possible self, I think of it as really doing the things that are necessary to remember who you are and who you were born to be. And the closer that we get to that person that we were born to become, that we were born to be, the more fulfilling our lives get and the more ease we have in attracting the things that we need to live our very best lives.
Wow. Beautiful. I love it. This is awesome. Lindsay, going so deep. Love it. So why don't you catch our audience up with what you're working on today, who you are, what you're all about, and what you stand for with the people around you?
Absolutely. So I'm Lindsay Adamson. As he said in my intro, I'm an international speaker. I'm a success coach for women, and I am a writer and also a corporate consultant. And if I have any superpower, it's really understanding the way that people think and the way that they behave and what they need to do in order to really create the best lives for themselves and ultimately the best versions of themselves. And so I love what I do, and it's very much so fueled by passion. And I have a really, really big dream of just waking up this world and really positively impacting people, both on an individual level and then also huge corporations and companies, because I know that if these big entities wake up and start changing their mindset and really growing and having employees that feel amazing, that not only will the companies become more successful, but it'll have a huge impact on this world. But it always starts with the individual, right? You, me, all of you who are watching, we really need to master our mindset. And that's what I want to talk to you all about today. I have a different thought process on mindset than a lot of people and what it takes to become successful. And that's definitely what I want to chat with all of you about today, because I think that it's been a long journey for me in discovering this and doing it the exact opposite all the way up until about 8 months from now ago. And that's why I have this interesting perspective I want to share with all of you.
Awesome. So, it's been a few months at least since you were last on the show, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you share a little bit about your journey to getting to where we are today, catch our audience up on that so we can just know how you got to being this powerhouse success coach, international speaker. How'd you get here?
Yeah. So basically, I had a corporate job for nearly a decade. I started from the bottom and worked myself up to the very top, the highest that I could possibly grow in the company. And I've always been a very, very, very hard worker, very disciplined, very dedicated, very motivated, but I've always had male mentors. And so I've always created success from that male energy, the hustle till you die, work till you fall over, work, eat, sleep, shower, repeat, and when I worked for that corporate job for those 8 years, many, many years, I worked 7 days a week, 16-hour days. And because of it, I found success at a very young age. I was the national sales director for the company for the last few years. And, I made lots of money. But what I realized was that I got to this position that I had only been dreaming of for years. And I had the income that I had been dreaming of from years, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. And that was the first time I realized that it's possible to be wealthy without being healthy or happy. And I didn't realize that because, you get taught this American dream when you're a kid, that you work hard, you go to school, you get a good job, you make a paycheck, and one day you can buy all these things for yourself and you can experience freedom. But nobody really at that point when you're a child talks about all the sacrifice that you have to make in order to get there. And so I eventually moved on from the company when my goals got so big that my boss just couldn't understand my vision anymore.
Wow. And
that was ultimately what made me decide that it was time for me to move on and really do something on my own that would have an unlimited capacity of not only earning, but there's so much satisfaction that I get from the coaching that I do. And I needed to be able to impact more people on a larger scale. And so I took a couple years off and I really traveled the world and explored and found myself. I got lost for a while and then I found my way back. And I discovered that I wanted to start my own business, becoming a coach and a mentor and a speaker. And once again, I kind of fell into that same pattern. I hired a male mentor and he taught me how to create success from that male energy again. And that was all I ever knew. And that was the only way of success I knew existed. And it involved sacrificing a lot, not having a social life, working really hard, and never really putting the computer or the phone away. And I'll admit, it brought me a lot of success very quickly because I invested a lot of money into a coach. And I was so determined to make the most of my investment. And so I just started going crazy, working, creating, building my visibility, building my reach. And before long, I started getting a lot of opportunities to speak around the world and to speak on stages with big celebrities like Al Pacino. And it was amazing. But I got to this point about 8 or 9 months in where I was about to launch a new program. It was a major, major thing for me. It was going to be my first kind of ultra VIP program that I launched within my brand. Mm-hmm. And I just had this turning point where I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this is working, but I've just gotten myself into the same thing that I was in before. I'm making the money, I'm getting the clients, I'm getting the exposure, but this doesn't feel good. Mm. And so I kind of had to treat myself like one of my clients and really examine what was going on and what was the problem. Mm. And it was almost like a sign from somewhere bigger than you and me. All of a sudden, I just had this image in my mind. And the image was the logo of my new brand, my coaching brand, the Hungry Lioness.
It's so rad. I love your logo. I love it.
And thank you.
I love it.
And I love yours right behind you. And the minute that I just decided that, you know what, success isn't important to me. Aligned success is important to me. I made a decision that many people would not have done when they worked for 9 or 10 months to build an extremely successful brand. I literally burnt it all down to the ground. Mm. And I started fresh with this new brand. I launched 2 new brands. I launched the Hungry Lioness, which is my brand of success coaching for women. Mm. And I also launched my global brand for my speaking and my consulting and my work within corporations and businesses, Lindsay Adamson International. Mm-hmm. And the second that I fully stepped into my power and my authenticity, and I stopped looking towards other people and their version of success and what they were creating and how they wanted to mold me into what they were. Mm. And I really started listening to my intuition, and I started adapting the mindset that I'm really going to get into explaining with all of you a little bit later. My success took off 10 times more than before. Mm. With more ease. Still, I'm going to admit a lot of fear that I had to work through, but I worked through it like a superstar, and everything not only just feels so good, but it's building and building and building and building more quickly than I could have ever anticipated, because I was willing to shed what didn't feel good and what wasn't fulfilling and what wasn't working, and fully embrace the things that my heart and soul were telling me to do. And that has made the biggest difference.
I love that. And you shared a lot of gold there. Success versus aligned success. I really like as well how you were, what I noticed is you're putting your faith and your trust into other people and relying on them and leaning on them. And then you started learning to be self-sufficient, self-sourcing. Why do you think you did that? Why do you think you put so much energy into other people's guidance versus trusting yourself? And like, how do you know when you're trusting yourself versus relying on someone else too much?
That's a great question. I think the honest truth is at the very beginning, I had never run an online business when I started. I had been very successful at running someone else's business, but they had a lot of other people behind the scenes making it happen. Right? And I got in front of someone who made it look like they were a massive shortcut. And so many people get tempted by that carrot that's being waved in front of them. And the truth is, what you discover is every time you get close enough to take a bite of that carrot, they move it farther away from you. Oof. And honestly, I got to the point where I realized that they were never going to allow me to eat that carrot. And that if I wanted it, I had to go out and get it and take a big fat bite of it myself. And so it's not that I don't have people that I rely on now. I actually have 3 incredible coaches now. Yeah. But the thing is that they don't try to mold me into who they are or how they do things. I have them as a support system and a reminder to seek what's already inside of myself and pull out the magic and pull out that success from there. That's why they're in my life. And that's why I've been able to have dramatic results in the last few months, because I have that strong support system, but they give me the strength to trust in myself and my own decisions. And then a lot of the time it's about telling them about it once I've already done things, and celebrating together. So that's the difference.
Wow. That's powerful. Powerful. So
Yeah.
Lindsay, let's start diving more into this success mindset. What does it take, and what's really unique about how you've discovered it and how you're sharing with your clients and your group in these corporations? What's your unique take on it?
Well, the first things first, I think that a lot of people have the impression that a success mindset is kind of like an on-off switch. It's either you have it or you don't. And I just simply don't agree with that. And so I think that's why it's so overwhelming to people. They realize where they're at and they realize where they want to be at, but it seems like there's this big, huge gap in between, and it's overwhelming to them. And so my best advice is that if you want to start working on your mindset, and if you are really hungry for success, it's important to start making small changes that will end up having huge results. If you want to be successful, whether you own your own business, whether you work for someone else, whether you're in an MLM, whatever the case may be, the secret to having success is to get a hold of your mindset first. You could have the best strategy in the world towards creating a business, but if you don't have a strong mindset, you're going to want to quit when things get hard. You're going to want to look outside of yourself for quick, easy solutions or shortcuts that won't actually help you. You're going to want to run away sometimes when you're going through bumps in the road. And so a really important first step when you're starting out in business or when you're looking to rise to a new level in your career is to really start working on that mindset. Now, the first thing that you want to make sure that you have is a very strong understanding of what your ideal future looks like. Chris knows that I'm very passionate about creating a vision for yourself. Yes. Now, this is true whether you're the CEO of the company or whether you're an entry-level employee. You need to have a strong, powerful, compelling, very crystal clear vision for what you want in your life. I always tell people this simple thing. If you don't know what you want, you will never get it. And you heard me talking a lot about how I've had a lot of male mentors and I've learned to create success through the male energy. Well, one of the things that I've learned to do now, and Chris and I were actually on the phone chatting about this the other day, is I have a strong understanding of the ability to balance both the male and female energies. And whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, it's really important that you actually have access to both. Just for those of you who are out there listening, just a few short tidbits to describe either one. The male energy is that action-taking energy, that hustle energy, that work hard, pump it, grind it, hustle it, slay it, whatever, kill it, action-taking. And then the female energy is very one so of patience and magic and really drawing things into you.
Nurturing.
So it's push versus pull. But I believe that really in order to find the level of success that I know I'm after, and I'm really sure a lot of you are after, it really requires both. You draw it into you, and then when it arrives, you take action on it. And so it's the same thing with your vision. Creating that vision and visualizing it as if it's already happened and allowing yourself to feel it in your body. Those are all very things that create success from the female energy. But then when you see it start to working and that law of attraction is kicking in and you're attracting things into your life, now's the time to take action. And so the first step is really to have a strong, powerful vision. And then what you want to do is include in that vision how you want your mind to feel and how you want to be friends with it. Because your mind can either be your greatest ally or your biggest rival, right? And it's really an issue of ego versus intuition and which voice is speaking louder. And then the next step that I would definitely recommend is being really curious to explore and learn more about your mind and how it works. So if you are walking through life and just allowing any mood that comes to surface inside of you and any situation that happens to just transpire. And then you're just trusting your instincts and whatever naturally comes to deal with it. You know, you're very much so asleep. And that's okay if you're just realizing that right now. We're all at different levels in our growth, in our development, in our expansion. But if you're hearing this and that's where you're at right now, it's time to wake up, right?
Yes.
And the first step to doing that is just to be super excited to and curious to explore our minds. So anytime that a situation comes up that causes you any strong feelings inside of yourself, try your best to take a step back, take a couple deep breaths, and really ask yourself, why is this triggering me? Why am I feeling this? What was it about that situation that caused me that? Is it because I'm experiencing fear? Is it because this is a pattern and I've had an experience like this in the past that caused me pain? Is it because I've tried this in the past and I failed? Like, what is it? The more that you learn about what triggers your mind, what circumstances make you feel pumped up and energetic, like you could take on the world? What circumstances make you want to crawl under the covers and hide there for a week? What circumstances make you feel anxiety or stress? What circumstances make you feel full of love and accepted? And the more that you can learn those things, the more that you can control and rewire your brain for success. Wow. And so the biggest things that you could discover is when fear comes and what's the root cause of it and what lies you tell yourself on a regular basis. I want you to think of your ego as this super seductive voice. And it's constantly whispering in your ear, like with this super seductive voice. And when it lies to you, a lot of the time you have no idea that it's lying to you because its reasoning is so logical. It is so logical that you have no clue in your mind that it's a lie or an excuse. And it pulls you in and it draws you in, and then it gets you to do what it wants you to do. And the only thing your ego wants you to do is to stay stuck and to stay exactly where you are, because where you are is the only time of your life that is completely predictable. This moment right now is the only moment you can control. 1 moment from now and 1 moment from that, you can't control that. But right now, if it keeps you exactly the same, you can completely control that because you're already familiar with the pain that you're experiencing. It might hurt, but at least you know what to expect. You're already familiar with the limitations that you're experiencing. You're already familiar with that struggle you're experiencing. And so although they may not be good feelings, at least they're familiar and you know what they are. And so your intuition is the exact opposite. Your intuition is in charge of getting you to grow and getting you to expand and getting you to travel that journey that's going to lead towards your purpose and your greatest potential. Now, the reason that so many people don't listen to their intuition is because it tells them to do something that they're not comfortable with. But what you have to realize is that growth isn't comfortable. And if you're going to get to that next stage of your life, you're going to have to face your fears. And I promise you, there will never be growth without fear. If there's no fear, you're not shooting high enough. And so a lot of people think that the most successful people in the world are the ones who have trained themselves to be fearless. But that's just not true. The most successful people in the world, they experience more fear and more failure than anyone else. But the truth is that they've worked on themselves so much and devised such a strong mindset for success that they're willing to fail. They're willing to feel the fear because they know that everything's going to be okay in spite of it, and that they're going to survive. It's not going to kill them. And they have their eye on their vision, not on the problem or the obstacle or the challenge.
So I'm gonna pause you real quick because this is gold. This is so gold. This is beautiful. So the vision. So first off, the people who are most successful are the ones who are most able to maintain that focus on the vision. You mentioned before, like if you don't have that vision, like you don't have a chance. You don't even have a shot at getting it because you're not gonna just wander into, you know, your $1 billion fortune or wander into, you know, the relationship of your dreams for the rest of your life, you know. So having that vision that we're always driving towards is critical, but also like whenever those successful people experience that fear or the rejection or the failure, they are so able to manage it, so able to push it, not push it to the side, but to deal with it, to let it go, to recognize it as not real, as not more powerful than them and their commitment to their vision. And as long as we stay focused on that vision, then we will always get there. And with the support of coaches, amazing success coaches like Lindsay, you will get there because she's a freaking powerhouse. And I love this. This is gold. Awesome.
Amazing.
Awesome. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So then what I would say is, you know, actually a question just came up to me when you were saying that. And some people might be asking like, okay, I understand the need for the CEO of the company to have a vision, but why would that entry level or middle of the road or junior executive have a vision when they don't really have the power to shape the direction that the company goes in? But I want to tell you that no matter where you are at in your life right now, even if you're working at McDonald's, it's important to have vision, right? And if you are working for a company and you answer to someone else within that company, what I would say is for CEOs and, you know, leaders of any kind, it is so important to you're the number one person who has to set the example for creating vision in your life and in your company. And then it's really important to actually share that vision with your employees and make them a part of it. Have them involved in the culture of the company and the vision of the company and where you want to take it and what that means for them if you do and when you do take it there. Because if you sell them on that passion, that vision that you have for where you want to take the company, they will be so much more invested in their job and they will take so much more pride in their job, and every call that they answer contributes to creating to that vision. And I was having a conversation with someone yesterday about how so many people in jobs these days just don't take pride in their work. And I think it's because they've never been spoken to about the success mindset or about the vision of the company and how important that they are in influencing that vision as one person and as a team. So I know that it can be overwhelming to create change in your life. And so I want to kind of take it down piece by piece for how we actually create this success mindset, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an employee, no matter what your situation is in life, even if right now you're unemployed, this is something we can all do. And I want you to know that I'm not just talking about this societal version of success. I'm talking about success in every area of your life, your health, your relationships, your work, your friendships, your creativity, all of it, right? This is not just success in business. I want you to know that it's really multifaceted. And so once you have a clear vision, and once you start to get an idea for how your mind works, and that part of it is going to be constantly happening. You're going to learn more and more and more. And sometimes it takes repeating a pattern 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 times before you realize it's a pattern and you understand it enough to change it. But now what we're going to start doing, which has monumental effects on your life, is to catch yourself in the act. So say, for example, you're coming home late at night after an amazing night out with your friends, and somebody's in your house with a flashlight, rummaging through your drawers, trying to rob you. And right there and then you catch them red-handed and you tell them to leave. That's what we're going to do with the negative thoughts and limiting beliefs in our minds. And so it's not possible to do this 100% of the time. I want you to realize this. But you will not imagine the effects and the changes that 1 minute a day, 3 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day will have on the expansion and growth and transformation of your life. So your mission for the first few days, the first week, is to catch yourself 1 to 2 times a day when your mind wanders to a negative thought, to a self-limiting belief, to worry, to anxiety, or to fear. And in that moment, I want you to pretend that you have an elastic band around your wrist and you're snapping it. And all you have to do in that moment is say, gotcha, in your head. I mean, if you run around everywhere out loud yelling it in front of people, they might think you're a little crazy, but
who cares?
Feel free.
Do it.
But what you want to say is, gotcha, and then immediately remind yourself about a part of your vision or a positive statement about how you're enough, how you're powerful enough, how you are going to get over this obstacle, how you are going to create results that you want in your life. Because for every time that you switch that, the next time gets easier. And I'm going to tell you right now, at first, it's going to feel forced. And it's going to be a chore for the first week or so. But then once you start being determined and committed to doing this more so and more so and more so in your life, instead of 1 to 2 times a day, you'll do it 2 to 5 times a day. And then maybe a month later, you're able to do it like 30% of the time. And then maybe a year later, you're able to do it 50% of the time. And then after years and years, like me, I'm able to do it quite frequently. And the times that I'm not able to do it and I'm a total mess, I call up one of my support system. You know, I have a team of vision keepers, I call them. And they are people that are very familiar with my vision and where I want to go and what I want to achieve. And they're all sold on my vision. And when I have times where I just can't control my mindset, and I do have times like that because we're all human, right? There's no superhumans here, even though sometimes I like to think of myself as Wonder Woman. And they sell me on my vision. And we get through it together. And that's why having great coaches is so important. And having people that you surround yourself with who are a part of your team that know where you're going and are going in that same direction. It's so important because you can do all the work on your mindset that you want. But if everyone else around you does not understand you and is telling you that you can't do it or that you're crazy or that you're just a dreamer or that your dreams are too big, that doesn't work. I'll never forget the moment that I walked into my old boss's office and we were about to negotiate my contract for the year. And in that past year, in the last 3 months before that contract negotiation, I had brought in $1.9 million for the company in 3 months. It tripled the sales from the season before. And I looked at him and I felt more motivated than I had ever felt. And I told him this was the year I was going to be in the top 1% of income earners in Canada. And at the time, all he had to bring in was $210,000 a year to be in the top 1%. And I was only like maybe 50, 60 below the year before. And so I was more determined than ever. And he looked at me and he said, Lindsay, you're freaking crazy. And I don't know what to do with you anymore. And in that moment, I knew I can't have people in my life who don't believe in my vision. He had a girl in front of him who was more motivated than he had ever seen. And he had seen nearly a decade worth of the most motivated girl he had ever met. And all he had to do was stoke that fire. But he couldn't, right? And so it's not always to that extreme level. It might be your best friend. It might be your mom. It might be your dog walker. It might be your business partner, whoever it is. We can't surround ourselves with people who don't believe in our vision when we're trying to create this success mindset. It is so important.
Yeah.
Right.
And what I love about this is even it's like the people who are closest to us who we think should have our back, our family, our boss, our spouse, our best friend of 25 years. You know, I love how you talked about the vision keepers, right? Because especially with my clients, when they're going out and they're making sales calls, right? Like that is one of the most vulnerable times that we have our visions and attempt to keep them in front of us, right? Because when we get that rejection, when we get people who say no, who close the door, it's so like that seductive voice like you were talking about, it pops up so much. So I love just like having my clients' backs, and I know you do too, just to make sure that they know, like no matter what, like their vision is alive in us, and there's nothing that they can do to put it out. And that's like one of the greatest things that you can do as a leader, as a champion of the people around you, is keep stoking that fire, keep fueling the flame for their vision to stay bright, and keep acknowledging people for showing up. Like that is one of the biggest things you can acknowledge people for, is just like, thank you for coming in today. Thank you for showing up in this Facebook group today. Thank you for being alive today. You know, thank you for having the courage to get on an interview and share your message today. And that's why I love acknowledging every guest who comes on the show, because not everyone has the courage to jump up in front of people and share their message. So I acknowledge you,
absolutely,
Lindsay, for doing that.
And not everyone has the courage to run a 12-hour self-development marathon. So good on you. It's incredible. It blows me away. Every week that I see you continue on for, you are superhuman as they come.
Thank you.
So, where I kind of want to go next is in a little bit different direction.
Cool.
And I want to talk about success without sacrifice. So I saw this post on Facebook the other day that made me really heated and really triggered me. And I had to take a step back, just like I told you guys, and examine, why is this triggering me so much? It's really stirring up a lot of feelings. And I felt like getting on there and writing the harshest comment, but I didn't. I had to hold myself back, because I like to be a person who shares love and, you know, honesty and authenticity and transparency in my thoughts and feelings, but in a very loving, kind, compassionate way, because I think everyone's at a different level on their journey. And, if I had seen that post 3 years ago, 5 years ago, I would have fully supported it. And that was what showed me how far I've come as a person. But it said, who's willing to give up their, I don't know the exact words, but it said something like, who's willing to sacrifice their life for the next 5 years if it means creating the success that you've always dreamed of? And all of these people put up their hands and commented and was like, me, yes, for sure, I'm willing to do that, da 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 da. And before I go into this, I actually want to paint a little picture for you with what I was willing to do to create success. I think it's been 5 years now that since I left my previous position, but my boss had me traveling all over the country and into the States as well. I'm Canadian, for those of you who don't know. And we had 11 branches in Canada and 2 branches in the States. And I lived in and traveled in almost every one of our offices. And when I say lived in our offices, I mean, I literally lived in the office in every one of those locations. Now, in one particular circumstance, and this was actually the year where I made the most money that I had ever made in my life, and it was my highest earning year in that company, I lived in a warehouse of the company, and I worked 16 hours a day, every single day, no days off, and I had to go out and buy a mini fridge and a toaster oven and, brush my teeth in a laundry tub. And in one place he had us living, there was no shower. And he actually taped garbage bags on the wall and hooked up a garden hose to the laundry tub. And that was what I showered in for months. And I cared so much about that money that I was making and that vision in my head, becoming a millionaire by my 30th birthday, that I was willing to do that.
Wow.
And live on an air mattress for years and not have a life for years. And do I regret those moments? No, I don't, because they built a lot of character And they taught me a lot of lessons. And the truth is that that money that I made was able to support me while I was figuring out what I wanted to do with my life after I left, while I was traveling, when I first started my business, so that I could afford all those expensive coaches and everything. So I don't regret it for a second. But would I ever do it again? No. Would I ever encourage anyone else to do it? Absolutely not. And was it even legal what he was having us do? Absolutely not. But, I was young and hungry.
Yeah.
And so let's take it back to this Facebook post. I got really upset because I don't want people learning that way, because maybe it will create success in your life, but only in one area of your life. And I am in the business of success coaching and mindset coaching. And when I work with clients, I don't teach them this version of success that is so popular, where you struggle and sacrifice everything for 5 years and then you buy your Lamborghini, and your mansion on the lake or whatever it is. I teach them to create their own version of success, because it doesn't usually look that way. And I coach them on creating success in every area of their life. And one of the biggest changes that I've made in my life that has created 10 times more success in every area of my life is creating a version of aligned success without sacrifice. That doesn't mean that I don't work hard, or that I don't work long hours, or that I never feel stress or fear. And I still work more hours than the average person, but I do it on my own terms. The last 3 days, I've slept in until nearly 10 o'clock. And you know what? It felt damn good. And I don't wake up at 4:30 in the morning or go to bed at 9 p.m. And I'm okay with that. That's what works for me. And I think it's all about creating a version of success where you reach the milestones that you want to reach, but you're also feeling fulfilled and happy and joyful. And one of the biggest changes that I've made is I've started working 1 to 2 hours less per day.
Wow.
And what I've done with that time is dedicated it to self-care.
Yes.
And that small shift has increased my income by, I want to say, about 33%. So about a third of the way. Now, you might be saying, but if you work for an hour or two less every day, that's a significant portion less work that you're doing every month. But it's not about the hours that you spend working. It's about the energy that you put behind your work, the intention, the creativity, and the focus. And so if I can spend time nourishing myself, I can give a lot more to my clients. I can bust out 5 hours of straight writing articles for publications or for my blog. I can handle 3 or 4 calls in a row with my clients. I can create magic with feel like I'm literally always there, even though I'm taking incredible care of myself. Now, I think the typical thing to do, whether you're in a job or a career or you own your own business, is to work as many hours as possible until you burn out, and then to come home and watch TV. And I don't personally think there's anything wrong with TV, but I think that there's a time and place for it. And I want you to know that there's a difference between feeling nourished and replenished and looking for a word that's at the tip of my tongue. There's a difference between feeling re-energized, feeling nourished, feeling energetic and replenished by self-care. And there's a difference between that and then the result that watching TV gives you, which is just like the ability to mentally check out.
Tune out, yeah.
Which to some people that feels really relaxing. But the difference is that at the end of that hour or two that you spent watching TV, you're still lacking something that you haven't given to yourself, that you then go to sleep and go to work again and do the same thing the next night. And you're just not giving it to yourself. And so I think that if you do that hour or two of self-care a day and you still have time to watch TV, go for it, right? But the thing is that instead of trying to like make these sacrifices and take things away from yourself, I think that you need to just start by adding on the good things and tell yourself if there's still time or if there's still room. Then do those things that you enjoy doing, and you'll automatically do less and less of them. Because what happened with me is I started doing maybe an hour of self-care a day. And then I loved the results so much that I bumped it up to 2. And now I do about an hour in the morning and an hour and a half to 2 hours at night now. So it's up to about 3 hours. Nice. And the more that I commit myself to taking care of myself, the more of a result it has in my business and how I feel about my business and how I relate to my clients. And as a coach, you always have to do first and teach second. And show your clients that you're doing the things for yourself that you're coaching them to do.
Yes.
And so this is such an important step. Every step of the way, it's so important. So what does self-care look like to you? It could be going to the gym for an hour in the morning. It could be doing a gratitude walk. It could be journaling, taking a bath, going to yoga, meditating, going for a bike ride, playing with your dog, whatever it may be. It's just something that nourishes you and fulfills you and makes you feel like when you finish it, you're vibing high, right? You're healing, you're growing, you're transforming. That's a huge tip and part of the success mindset.
Yeah. And so many people take it for granted too. Like literally, what can you do right now? And especially for the people out there who say, I don't have enough time. You need this more than anyone, because it's like that feeling of scarcity and lacking time, lacking enough to take care of yourself, to give yourself, that you especially need to start creating this in your schedule. And as you do it more and more, like Lindsay said, you will expand the time that you do this because you recognize how much more productive it makes you in other areas. So start out with something simple. Start with a micro commitment. Start with a walk, a gratitude journal, reading a book, meditating for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I know for me, I built my habit of meditating and writing in my journal gratitude for 15 minutes each about 3 months ago, and it's really just transformed my self-image, how I feel about the day, how I take on the day. And I used to be this person who's like constantly battling to meditate, right? Like, why can't I just get this meditation thing down? It just doesn't work for me. Like, what the heck? So I think, find what works for you, but keep at it. Keep shifting your identity. Keep reminding yourself of who you are. Keep your focus on that vision, because that vision dictates who you are now. If you're a millionaire, or you're traveling the world, or you have this, amazing business that you impact people's lives, what are the habits of that person? And then remember, oh yeah, that's right, I'm that person. Of course I get up at whatever time, or of course I start my day off with this meditation, because that's just who I am. That's who that person is. And that is so critical. And I love everything that we're covering, Lindsay. So let's begin to wrap it up and just cover the final takeaways, the new paradigm that our audience gets to really step into and embrace because of their time invested here with us.
Yeah. I just had kind of one last point, actually.
Sure.
The last step, which is just such a crucial step, and I see this all the time, that when people create this vision for themselves of where they want to go in their lives, they forget to feel grateful for where they are right now. It really has to be both.
Yes.
And I think of it this way. If you are extremely grateful, you will be the first person who receives that next gift, because when it's given to you, it is known that you will take great care of it and that you will feel super appreciative of it. So when you ask for more in your life, and when you go out there and you prove that you want more in your life, just remember that the more gratitude you feel for literally every part of your life and everyone in it and everything you have, the more that you're welcoming in. And that is a huge part of the success mindset. Be grateful for where you are and envision where you want to go. And so remember that. And the more that you intentionally practice gratitude every day, like we were talking about switching those negative thoughts to positive ones, add that 1 minute of gratitude a day, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. And before you know it, you're going to be feeling it everywhere you go. This morning I was on a walk with my dog, and I was really tired when I woke up. And so I was having to actually intentionally smile at people instead of it just happening naturally.
Right.
Then this woman came down the street. She was walking by herself, and she was so smiley. And then all of a sudden that natural gratitude kicked in. I felt my heart inflame with love because I was like, look at her. She's so incredible.
Right?
She's so beautiful. Wow. And I appreciate her so much. I don't even know her, but I love a stranger, you know, and that's what it's all about. Love everything around you. Be grateful for everything around you. And I promise you, more will show up in your life.
Amen. And what I also hear is put that stuff into your environment. Hang out with Lindsay, hang out with Chris, hang out with amazing people who inspire you, who get you to just, you know, just like feel amazing and grateful and loving. Because when you see us doing it, you remember, oh yeah, that's what I want 24/7. That's how I want to feel. You know, the more we can get inspired by people by these coaches, you know, who are demonstrating, who are being the role model, being the example, the leaders, the more we study them, the more we appreciate who they're being and also where we're at and how things are right now and where we want to be, and appreciate all of that. It just creates such a powerful catalyst to call more of that into our life. So, Lindsay, this is amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. So let's recap again with we talked about a lot of different things. It was a lot. So we went through your journey. We talked about mindset, right? Give us the recap of the points we need to take home and really focus on.
All right. So create an extremely strong vision for your future. Not only what you want to see in it, but more importantly, how you want it to feel. Get yourself to that position where you can actually feel how it would feel as if it's already happened. And the more often you get yourself to feel that way, the quicker it will arrive. Know that a success mindset is not on and off switch. It takes time to build, and 1 to 5 minutes a day can have huge results with creating it. Get to know your mind really well and how it ticks and what is at the root cause of your fear or your procrastination or your anxiety, your worry, and get to know the lies that you tell to yourself. One thing I forgot to say earlier, but I'll add into this recap is when you do feel high on life and like you could do anything, we all go through those times where we feel that way. Record videos of yourself, record sound messages of yourself, and literally talk to yourself for those moments when you feel low. Remind yourself that life is an ebb and flow and that it's always going to go up and down. And the more you struggle against those down periods, the longer you'll be stuck there. So just let it flow, but be conscious of your actions, your decisions, your thoughts, the lies you tell to yourself, the positive things you tell to yourself. Get to know yourself, be curious, explore, and then catch yourself in the act. 1 time a day, 5 times a day, 30% of the day, 100% of the day, however much you can, but build and build and build. And whenever you find yourself having a self-limiting belief, or a negative thought, or a fear, or worry, change it with something positive. The words I am are the most powerful words in the human language. Change it with an I am statement. I am unstoppable. I am powerful. I am capable of overcoming this challenge. I will never be given anything that I can't handle. Therefore, I am powerful enough to get through this, right? And then start taking great care of yourself. Start embracing who you are and what gifts you have. And as you take great care of yourself, you will teach the people around you to take great care of you. You will welcome new opportunities in your life with people who are aligned with your vision and where you're going. Surround yourself with those people who are going in the same direction, who support you on your journey and your vision and your goals, and who will only encourage you and tell you the things that you need to hear when you need to hear it. Those people that you can reach out to, whether they're coaches, they're friends, they're mentors, whatever they may be, you need the solid support system in your life. And then practice extreme gratitude. And in that, sense, I want to say, Chris, I am so thankful for your time today. I am so thankful for all of you who are out there watching. I truly believe that you have the power to live your dreams and to create your version of magic and success, and that you have it in your ability to train yourself to be so strong in your mindset towards that success. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be with Chris and I today and to watch this and to interact with us. I'm going to go and read all your comments after this and communicate with you guys. But I'm grateful for you. And I want you to know that because I practice what I preach.
Amazing. Lindsay, you're such a superstar. Oh my gosh. You are a superhuman. Don't deceive yourself. You're a superstar, superhero, superhuman. You're amazing. And how do people stay connected with you, Lindsay?
I want to say one thing before that. I don't remember where I saw this, but apparently the definition of superhuman is not what we envision. Whereas like they're superheroes who are actually not human. They're like a different species. Apparently the definition of superhuman is actually just humans who exhibit exemplary talent and power and strength beyond what is normal in society. And so in fact, you and I are both superhuman.
Yes, we freaking are. Yes, we are.
Although I truly believe that we are all equal, and that we all have equal opportunity, and we were all put on this planet to achieve just such grand things. And we just need to step up into that power and get out of our own way.
Amen.
And so to answer your question, I'm very active on Facebook and Instagram. YouTube is coming, but for now you can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Lindsay Adamson Official. And my new website is launching soon. So I'm sure by the time I'm back on the show, I will be able to throw that out to you too.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Lindsay, you're the best. We appreciate you. We love you. Keep shining your light in the world. You're a powerhouse, and thank you for all that you're doing for women and people and corporations, and your speaking and all of it. You're just amazing and a delight to be with. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all of you who are watching. Have an amazing day, and as Chris would say, have the best day ever.
Best day ever! Absolutely.
Amazing.
Awesome, Lindsay. We'll see you soon, okay?
Bye.
See ya.